Evening review. When I retire at night, I constructively review my day. Was I resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do I owe an apology? Have I kept something to myself which should be discussed with another person at once? Was I kind and loving toward all? What could I have done better? Was I thinking of myself most of the time? Or was I thinking of what I could do for others and what I could pack into the stream of life? But I must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish my usefulness to others. After making my review, I ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken.
If you listen to the recording, you'll notice it's in first person. I made it personal like that because I want to put it on my phone. I actually used the audio recording as a personal alarm to go off at 9 p.m. So it's a wonderful way to be prompted to do an evening review on your phone. To get back to the review, this is clearly step 11 in the book, and it says, when I retire at night. So this is the evening review. So in step 11, the evening review, it says, when I retire at night. That's a clue, okay? And it says, when we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Now, a friend of mine, Joe S., pointed out, when you look back on your day at night, you look at it constructively, not destructively. So it's a good point. Thanks, Joe. And here's another point. When were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? So, when I talk about first person, when I make it into first person, it makes it more personal for me instead of something I just read out of a book. But the point I want to make is this is the third inventory in the book Alcoholics Anonymous. The first one is in step 4. The second one is in step 10. And then the third one is in step 11. So in step 11, when it says, where were we resentful, dishonest, selfish, or afraid, that is self-will. That is identified as acting in self-will. And that's what'll get us drunk. That'll get me drunk. But what's really interesting, and I love to point this out, what's the opposite of dishonesty? It's honesty, right? What's the opposite of love? Well, it's fear. What's the opposite of unselfishness? It's selfishness. What's the opposite of resentment? It's purity. Purity is about pure motive. And so what I'm saying is the self-will of selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear, if you look at it, the exact opposite is honesty, purity, unselfishness, and love. And that's what was called the 4 absolutes when Alcoholics Anonymous started back in 1935. And this was something that we adopted or inherited from the Oxford group. The Oxford group was pre-AA, I guess, that's what you can say. But they had the 4 absolutes, 4 spiritual principles. And when you hear an alcoholic say absolute, oh my God, I can't do 100% absolute. It's progress, not perfection. It's progress, not perfection. Just to finish up on the 4 absolutes, why it's so important is because when AA started, these were the four principles, or the yardsticks, as Dr. Bob would call them, that they had to hang on to and try to live a spiritual life. So they literally used the four absolutes in meditation, how they think and act, and how they carried themselves throughout the day. In other words, did it pass all four absolutes? Is it honest, pure, unselfish, and loving? If it failed one of the absolutes, it was considered self-will. Again, self-will is acting in selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. So they used the four absolutes in meditation. I use the four absolutes in meditation. So when I get up in the morning, I say my prayers, and then I do a written meditation, 10 to 15 minutes of quiet time. Whatever I write down, I try to write down everything that goes through my mind. And then after I'm done, I look at it and I say, what passes the four absolutes? And anything that passes the four absolutes, I consider inspiration or guidance from my higher power, which today I understand is the Creator. So anything that's one of the liabilities of selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear is considered self-will. I just throw that in the trash can, okay? Because I want to stay sober, and sobriety is contingent on a spiritual condition, and I get a daily reprieve, one day at a time. It's called the 24-hour plan. Okay, to continue with the review, where it says, but I must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish my usefulness to others. And the way I read that is, if I am worried, remorseful, or in morbid reflection, I'm not 100% present in the now to be available to help somebody else. They talk about in the book, we want to be spiritually fit. Our real purpose is to serve God and others. And if I'm worried about something, I'm not present 100%. I'm worried. Worry is just, to me, is a form of atheism. I like to change worry to concern. If I have a concern about something, I can pray about it, give it to God. Worry is like a waste of time. It literally is I think it's an evil, destructive, negative thing, because I have no control. I have no power over some situation, and I'm going to sit here and worry and worry and worry and destroy myself. And so it's like, I'm going to pray about it. So I try to stay out of worry. I'm not going to worry about something I can't control. If I could control it, it's a different story. But there's only so much stuff I can control. Usually it's just me and my attitude, and I can change my mind and things like that. And remorse, it's like, that's what step 10 is all about. Continue to set right new mistakes as we go along. We're going to make mistakes. That's why they put erasers on pencils. And so we're going to rectify these mistakes. And so it keeps you out of guilt and shame and all that horrible vibe. You're not present. Again, you're not present 100%. And morbid reflection. I used this here. I just remembered, I was reflecting on a situation, and it was morbid reflection. And I remembered, I don't want to do that. And as soon as I, talked to God of my understanding, today I call the Creator, it shut it down. Shut it down. Why? Because I want to be 100% present, to be available in the now. That's where life is in the now, and that's where God is. That's where my God is, or the God of my understanding, the Creator, is where life is. My mind, my ego will put me in the past where resentment lives, or push me in the future where fear lives. So I want to stay in the now. That's where the power is for me. After making my review, I ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. So after making my review, I ask God. That's a prayer. When we ask, when you ever see that in the big book, when it says ask, that's a prayer. So I ask God's forgiveness and inquire. Inquire is code for meditation. I go into quiet time and I sit in silence and I just listen. That's meditation. So after making my review, I ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. Here, you're directed to say a prayer and then go into meditation for corrective measures. So God's going to be our discipline, our director, our new employer. And again, keep in mind the four absolutes. And this will keep you out of harm's way, keep your nose clean. But yeah, I just wanted to make that point about inquire is meditation. Inquire what corrective measures should be taken. We go into meditation. It talks about that in the sex inventory. It says, like sex, like any other problem, we ask God in meditation. That's a directive. It's a design for living. So we ask God for intuitive thought, inspiration, or decision.